Welcome back, listeners. This is episode 5 of the Life in Bomb City podcast, located here at Amarillo College in the Social and Behavioral Sciences Department. We're recording here at the FM 90 studios. I'm Aaron Favor.
And I'm Dr. Beth Rodriguez.
We have a few things to talk about today. First and foremost, how was your summer and early fall, Beth?
You know, the summer went by so fast, it seemed. My son is on a baseball team, so we were traveling around with all of that. So was my other son, so we had 2 sons in there. Once we finished that, we went to a trip to Ruidoso with my side of our family, and everybody came, which was really nice. It's fun to get all together. And then my immediate family, so my husband and my 2 sons and my daughter and I, we met up with some friends, and we went down to Florida. And we were down in Pensacola.
Okay. Pensacola.
Yeah, and we were there. We got a house together. We stayed for a week at the beach and did all sorts of fun things. And then we came back, and then school started. I mean, this summer just flew. Not only that, fall 1, oh my gosh, like it was here and it's gone, and we're already in fall 2. Everything's going great. I'm very happy because I'm getting to teach a new class, which is sociology. And I've had a lot of fun with that and trying to get everything situated and just a new perspective on the same ideas. And it's really kind of fun that way.
Right. It's really important, too. It sounds like y'all got to travel. You got to spend a lot of really good quality time with family. All those things are what we think of when we think of a break.
And I also went to Philly. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So you presented a paper.
I did.
Right? At a conference. What was the conference?
That's what's funny is it's one of those conferences that it was on positive psychology. And so that kind of has a very wide open realm. And so we had everything from what I was teaching on, which is student engagement, looking at different barriers that they have to get rid of in order to be successful. And then we had another lady who actually spoke on the opioid epidemic and the psychological background of that situation.
Okay.
But then after, it was very, very, very interesting because then we had some people who had joined the conference because their topic didn't make, that didn't make any sense. And it was on diabetes. And I hadn't really learned a lot about it, but I did. And now we're actually using some of the things that this really intelligent doctor was talking about with diabetes and the idea of health. And my husband and I have been using that, and we've seen some benefits from it. So it was kind of a cool situation. So what did you do this summer?
Well, it was a full packed summer. We were, teaching during the summertime, which was fantastic. Lots of really good summer classes. Got to experiment a little bit on my U.S. government class with the political simulation. Never done that before in a 6-week format, which we have, or the 5-week format I think we have in the summertime, and that was fascinating because it just messed with some of the different timing that we have, and making sure that we're covering all the topics and answering all the questions and all the concepts, and making sure the students are learning what they're supposed to be learning while experiencing it. We got to spend some really good quality time in Dallas. We were in Missouri fishing and doing all the things that you do there. Went to the aquarium there. We got to go to the Dallas World Aquarium also in Dallas, and it's huge. So I was really impressed when we went to the aquarium there in Springfield, which is at the center of the city. It's kind of like I couldn't believe how much bigger it was than I didn't expect it to be as big as it was, but it was larger than the one that was at Dallas.
Oh, really?
But I think it was because they featured different things. Like they had the top side of the aquarium in the Dallas World Aquarium has all this outdoorsy things. And then the aquarium in Missouri had everything was below water.
Oh,
everything
really?
was. And they actually have a little thing that you can do where you can go below the surface of the water with the sharks and watch them eat right in front of you.
Oh my God, that's my favorite Jaws. Jaws 3, I think
Jaws
it is,
yeah.
where it's the underwater part.
Right.
Yes,
Right,
how
right.
fun.
And in my office, I've got that Jaws eating Quint.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that movie. All right, so we got to do that. We took in some baseball games, sod poodles, and we saw the Astros play the Rangers, which was really good.
Oh, that's always fun.
That kind of stuff. Went to New Orleans for a conference in June. That was a lot of fun. That was my first time in New Orleans.
New Orleans is such a neat, different place.
Mm-hmm.
The feeling there is different than almost anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is. It's like all the history, all the mystery, I like everything else that's E on it. But that's just, I mean, it's such a neat place. And my husband hasn't been, and I really want to take him.
Oh, yeah.
It's so fun.
We were there for the Teaching Professor Conference, and I think the conference lasted 3 or 4 days, but it happened to coincide with Pride Month.
Okay.
And so there was lots of Pride activities going on around New Orleans. And if you use your imagination, you can imagine how vibrant it was in that city.
Mm-hmm.
It was really entertaining, really interesting, a lot of fun to watch. And of course, the food is
unbelievable.
Unbelievable. It was so good. So we were there for a little while, spent a little bit of time in Washington in late August and early September for our APSA conference, the American Political Science Association conference. That was a whole lot of fun.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So our classes are in full swing. In the second term of fall. Beth, do you want to take us through some of the things we're hoping to accomplish this year with regard to our episodes for our listeners?
Yes, man. Right now we have about 300 listeners. Okay, and they're in 3 different countries, which I think that's really, really cool. But we're hoping to reach over 1,000 listeners by the time end of the semester. So end of the year for us, which will be May 2020. We're hoping by graduation we have those 1,000 listeners. So we're hoping that we bring up some topics that people are interested in. So there's more likely they're going to tune in. Some of the episodes that we're going to have, we are going to come up with something like the opioid trilogy. We're going to be talking about suicide in adults. I mean, not in adults, in adolescents. Different things like that. We're just going to talk about the idea of the suicide and what's happening with that.
So we have in this trilogy also, so we're doing policymaking, we're breaking it down because these topics are so complicated that from our end, we just want to make sure that we're covering them the way they need to be covered and giving them the respect that they deserve, rather than just taking one 45-minute episode and covering it as fast as we can, or bringing one person on to talk about it. We want to make sure that we're bringing out some of the other dimensions. So the opioid trilogy, we're going to actually be posting that along with this one, is with our policymaking end. We're going to be doing that with Representative For Price, who's done gobs of work on the topic. We're going to do it from a perspective of law enforcement, and then we're going to do it from the perspective of treatment. And the suicide among adolescents, we're talking about possibly breaking that out into multiple episodes.
Yeah, because it is very complex.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be good to say. I mean, my biggest thing is how do we fix it? Because how can that be the second leading cause of death for people between the ages of 12 and 19?
Right.
Like, that just blows my mind. The only thing that kills our adolescents more is accidents.
Right.
Like every accident you could think of. And that's the only thing that kills people between the 12 and 19 more than they kill themselves.
Unreal.
It is.
And I would be curious to look at the statistics of what things were like, and it's hard to compare, by the way, over time, because the way we treat things changes over time as well. The way we catalog things and the way we identify things. We were talking about the opioids being something that was, or substance abuse, or being a type of psychosis. Is that what you said?
Yes, and like, what is it? In the 50s, they actually diagnosed substance use disorder as a psychopathic personality disorder.
Wow. So it's hard to compare and contrast sometimes these things, but at the same time, I'd still like to know the numbers of adolescent deaths due to suicide throughout the decades and over time, and see if it's different, or if we're just talking about it differently. Are we experiencing it differently? Are more adolescents lonely? What's the deal? What's happening here? We're going to do one episode with our colleague, Dr. Alan Key.
It should be very interesting to have him here.
He's such an expert.
He is, and he loves what he does, and so he does. It's like he becomes very passionate about the topics. Whatever you want to talk to him about, he's going to have his full array, full emotion, and just like his beliefs. And he's a very interesting person to talk to. So that should be a really cool episode that we're going to do.
His topic the topic that we want to talk to him about is rational emotive behavioral therapy. And once again, we're looking forward to doing that. We're also going to be tackling the impeachment process that's going on right now, the inquiry specifically. Beth is, being a social psychologist, has a lot of really interesting things that she'll just kind of drop into my office. And I love when you do that, by the way, because the things that you bring up are not things that typically I would think of. I'm thinking things from like a constitutional or like a policy angle, or from the media, something like the things that I think about are not the things that you're thinking about.
Right.
So that'll be really interesting, the psychological dimensions of what's happening there, breaking down some of the political nuggets, and hopefully we'll be able to get a really good guest for everybody for that topic. And we might end up having to break that one down too, because it's so complicated.
It is.
So
we could it could be, every one of these topics could be broken down into multiple perceptions. And that's one of the things that we always should talk about, is the idea that, there's always, everybody always says that whole adage, there's two sides to every story. And the truth is that there's a million sides to every story, because you have to look at each person's perspective and then their experiences that they bring. So now it changes the way they see things, the way they perceive what's going on. And so really hearing it from multiple aspects, which we could see, like the policy, the law enforcement, the treatment, somebody who's maybe dealing with the issue on their own. I mean, that's just, I think, providing those different perspectives allows somebody to see maybe the picture a little bit more in totality than just their point of view.
Getting a more holistic understanding of what's going on. And that's what we want to do. I mean, this is, as social and behavioral sciences department, this is what we do. So we're changing the format of our podcast, and it should be obvious from the get-go. We're doing it because we're listening to what our listeners have to say, and we want to be as effective at managing the topical information and conversations that we're going to be having.
Right. It just means that we're going to stick to the topic.
Yeah. We're
going to get the information, hopefully, that we find that people are interested in, so we do raise our listeners, because we're going to have, 1,000? We're going to have over 1,000.
Yeah. That's the goal.
It is.
That's the goal. And if that happens, we're going to have some type of a celebratory episode. I don't know what we're going to do exactly.
No, we'll figure it out when it happens, because it's going to happen. So we'll be figuring it out as soon.
Okay. So anyway, stay tuned, listeners, and we're looking forward to this upcoming year. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.